Hi, I'm Arna, and today I'm so lucky to have a wonderful health coach and transformational therapist, Joelle Norwood, with me. We do some podcasts together. We've known each other for a long time. We've been through many, many things together. I'm so blessed to have Joelle with me at this time of crisis. And I thought it would be really interesting to actually share our conversation today. We haven't talked in a while. And this conversation is about coping mechanisms for COVID-19, strategies that we're sharing with our clients, strategies on how you can cope during this crisis, which is ever changing every minute. Joelle, welcome.
Thank you, Arna. Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here and not be watching the television news.
And I'm so grateful to see your beautiful face right now. And so, Joelle, this has been, I would say, one of the most, I will say, one of the greatest experiences of my life this period. And when I say that, it's because being able to walk through something like this, it makes you exercise every skill that you've ever learned your entire life. So it's almost like your whole life, you're working toward this kind of experience. I know this may sound crazy.
No, it doesn't sound crazy at all.
Recently, I got, it was only a year and a half ago, I got all this training on how to deal with disasters and, coping. And I have to tell you this, I'm sure like it caught a lot of people off guard. This caught me off guard. But then I realized once I'm in it, okay, here's the thing. What can I control and what I can't control? And that's really what it's going to come down to here, I think, in terms of coping. What can we control and how are we going to react to the information we're being given? What are your thoughts about that?
I think that you're absolutely correct about that. It's a really scary time because it's not like a plane crash or even what happened at 9/11. It's this constant feeling of being on edge of what's going to be the news. Where is it going to hit? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be my daughter? Is it going to be the mailman? Who's going to be affected by this? And that feeling of like powerlessness is overwhelming.
I agree with you. Often when people have crisis and stress, I remind them that they do have power. And the power they have is to how are they going to choose to react to a situation as it comes at them. There are many aspects to this crisis. Like you said, unlike a plane crash, unlike a hurricane, it's an event and it has an endpoint. This one, it's unknown the endpoint. It's really unknown. What are the facts? How do we know what to do? And it is affecting us on so many levels. The crash of 2008 was financial. There was a safety issue with 9/11. Here we have health, we have finances, we're now all in these orders to stay home. So our whole social systems are affected too. So that's what I want to address today is many, many aspects to what we're dealing with here. So I know you're getting calls from clients. I'm getting calls from clients. What are you telling your clients?
Well, I'm getting, as a wellness coach, I'm not a therapist or a nutritionist. I just want to make that clear. But as a wellness coach, I'm getting calls from people who are not staying on their with their health goals, which is number one. They're like they're freaking out. They're just like, well, what am I supposed to do? The world is ending. So there's two kinds of people. There are people that are on the couch and they're watching TV 24/7 and they're frozen. I mean, they really are frozen and they're really kind of stuck in that position. And then there are other people that are like, well, what the hell? I can't do anything about this. I'm going to just do whatever, which is stuff my mouth. Or there's the third person who just says, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And there are things that I can control. I can make a decision like, how much television news am I watching? How much stimuli am I bringing into my brain? How am I doing with my eating, with my breathing, with my hydration? And those people are the ones that are staying grounded and really understanding that they have choices. They have many choices that they're making every minute, every hour, every day. And that's a beautiful thing.
I love this idea of choice. So while you're speaking of choices, we can see this as a tragedy. And in many ways it is, but it is an unbelievable opportunity. Now, the reason I want to focus on opportunity here is opportunity gives us hope. And on some level, I feel to be able to be shut down and shut in like this gives people an opportunity of a lifetime. And probably it's been generations that people have just been able to stop and think about what is important in their life. Who matters in my life? What are things that I haven't gotten to ever finish in my life? What matters most to me? Because something like this, really puts it all out on the table. I cannot imagine anything as powerful as that. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. Well, I'm old, right? I'm 65. So I grew up in the late 50s and 60s going to elementary school. And where I grew up, Sundays everything was closed. All the stores were closed. There was nothing, right? I mean, people went to their churches and things like that. I'm not of that religion, but Sunday was an off day for everybody and people did family time. We don't even have that anymore. Everything is open 24/7. If you want to go shopping any time of the day, you can go. So you're absolutely right that the thinking time, that me time, unless you carve it out for yourself, you can go months, you can go years, you can go forever and never think about what's truly important to you. And this event, this crisis is making us really sit down and say, who are the important people? What do I want to do in my life? What will I do when this is over? How am I thankful and grateful every single day?
I agree. And you know what else it's bringing up for me is urgency to complete things. Because if you have this idea of pending, death or illness, it's like, let me move fast. Let me use every day to the maximum. Like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I work on various hotlines. I'm not going to mention which one, but I like to give service to people around the country. And one of them told me that I had been exposed to COVID-19. What happened from there, about 5 days ago, I started a sore throat and cold symptoms, which could very much be part of that. And it really made me look at, wow, if this is it, I really need to pick up the speed and get this work completed. Like, every day is a precious day. Every minute is a precious minute to do as much as I possibly can for and I'll use the word entelechy, the part of knowing inside of me who I'm supposed to be, what my soul contract is, completion work with people that I love. I mean, this has really change the speed of everything. And would you like to share how
Yeah.
that has shifted for you too?
Yeah, being 65 and going through a cancer scare not too long ago, 6 months ago, and really saying, I have to say yes to my health and I have to take control of my health, and going on a health journey of losing 45 pounds has made me very aware of what's going on in the world and people's health status and their immunities and, how they are as people out there. And what I have found is my age caused me to have urgency, but this situation caused me to have like quadruple the urgency that I had just 6 months ago, to really be able to connect with the people that I care about, whether it's on Facebook or by phone. And this whole sense of like, a few weeks ago, it was like, well, I'll get together with so-and-so. I'll make a plan. Maybe I'll make a plan. Maybe I won't make a plan. But now this sense of like, wow, who are the really important people in my life? How do I want to celebrate my life? How do I want to live? Do I want to simplify my life, or do I want to complicate my life? So it's really made me kind of really focus in. But I can tell you, Arna, that this situation has caused a lot of people to become fragmented because it's overload on stimuli too.
It really is. And we're going to talk about maybe some techniques on how to work with that. I know we did the last time we spoke. This idea of being focused is so powerful right now. Focused on, and I love what you said about simplifying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think right now, the most simple is the easiest way to get through this. And one technique that I'm using, because this is big stuff, this is huge, is what's called chunking it down. And that's breaking this into pieces. So if I think about all the permutations, I will get anxiety. So I put one foot in front of the other, and I have several action steps I do a day. Make my little list, make it realistic, and then it's the next day. Moving on. I cannot grasp everything at once. So I encourage the people that are listening to this to be very, very present in the moment. Like Joelle said, very, very grateful. And I think that's really important. You also brought up the fragmentation. And I'll tell you, it's really important to get good information of what's real here. And I know that there's certain websites and information sites, CDC, NIH, other sites about COVID. There's so much information circling out here, some public health departments. But I also think this idea of watching the television 24/7 becomes, and it just adds to the stress of this back and forth. Now, here's the thing. You and I,
oh yeah,
right, both worked in television. This is why, because I've been on some health meetings and they're complaining. A lot of people in mental health are saying, the TV, the repeating of the stories over and over again are just causing so much stress to people. And I was explaining, I used to work in a newsroom, and you did too. We both worked in the business, that it just really, just the repeating over and over again creates a lot of anxiety. Okay. So one of the things is that I encourage people to just watch the news once a day, like choose a time to get a wrap up instead of having it on 24/7, because you're hearing the same negative information over and over again, which every time you hear it, your fight-flight mechanism goes off. It puts you in that state of panic. That's very, very difficult. What do you suggest, Joelle, being a fellow veteran in the TV business?
Yeah, so I was in the broadcast news business for 35 years, so I totally get it. And there was a saying in journalism, and especially in broadcast, is that if it bleeds, it leads. So the more sensational the news is, the more it's going to be at the front page, right? Front page,
right.
or top
Correct.
of the news or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to really tone it down and understand that little remote is your control now to turn it off. In my day, you had to get up off the couch and actually turn off the TV. That doesn't exist anymore. So it is that chance of you making that choice. And I know that it's hard because I myself feel very attracted to turning on the news or waking up in the middle of the night and trying to see what's going on, what's happening. But there's nothing I can do. But what I can do is create a routine for myself. And that's what I'm telling my clients is create a routine. Wake up at the same time. Drink water at the same time. Light a candle. Sit quietly. Don't turn on the news when you first get up. Really take some time. Do some yoga or some stretching. Create a little routine for yourself, because right now, as we all are being asked to be sequestered, to be home, to be quarantined, a lot of people are in their same pajamas for 3 and 4 days in a row. They're not even taking a shower. I mean, it's really, and I say,
I like that idea,
but it's like you need to have a routine so that you're not.
I agree. I totally agree. You know, a lot of people don't have these self-routines because they work for other people. They're used to other people's time clocks, but in a way it's teaching everyone to be their own entrepreneur. Now, both of us, you and I, have been entrepreneurs for a long, long time. And to make a schedule for yourself, I love that. To have a routine, let's talk about the elements of the routine. The routine can be many elements. It can be always the health element in there, waking up at the same time, making sure you get a lot of rest, and make sure you don't watch TV or look at your electronics before bed so you can have some peace. One thing I've been doing with some friends before bed is both coming up with a beautiful healing image. One friend recently said to me before I spoke, well, we both went to bed, I told her a beautiful healing image I saw with her. And then she told me, I see you having a picnic with me and we're having rainbows behind us. Choose to pick sweet images, memories, pull out pictures. You know, vision boards? You know, we've done those before. Whoops. The vision boards. And what's so interesting is images that make you feel good are a really great thing too. So I think that the vision board is a great, great concept. Images, things that make you feel good. Having a daily walk where most people can still walk. Take a walk. If you can't, go outside, breathe the fresh air. If you can get some sun, just like it really gets down to those simple things in life. And a lot of people are working from home too. So, and you have your work day.
Totally. But follow, please, 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 who's ever listening out there, follow the guidelines. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Right. Stay 6 feet away from people. Follow the guidelines that are being put out there by the CDC. It's so important, that people really get that, because we've had issues here in Oregon, and I've seen it in Florida, where people have been going to beaches and still congregating and having parties and sharing cups and just doing things. I mean, we don't need this thing to spread. So there is some reality that we need to really adhere to, that it really is happening.
It's real. I mean, right. And where I live, they closed the beaches. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a beach town here in Southern California. And everyone came to this beach. And in response, though the city I live in shut them all down. So now, but I can still look at the ocean from a few blocks away. But this is very, very serious. It's about us all taking responsibility now for our health. This is us taking responsibility in a way that we've never known before. One more thing I'd like to add, I think it's important to really work on a social network, develop a list of friends, make sure that you have contacts with your friends on a regular basis. I think that's super important to have your friends, to have your contacts with friends, contact them virtually, contact them by text messages, whatever it is, it's time to contact your friends on a regular basis so that you have a social life. To have a social life is so important to your wellness and mental health, don't you think?
Yeah, and one thing that you can do, which if you're on Facebook, which I'm sure most of us here are on Facebook, figure out what your hobbies are. So I like to do rock painting, or, maybe you like to read Brene Brown books, or you like walks in the park, or you like to go to Yosemite, or you watch a different TV show. Join those groups. Look for groups that are active, that have like 20 or 30 postings a day, because, you can get involved socially without having to go to these meetings in person, but still be engaged in your own interests. I don't know, if you like fancy manicures, join a manicure group. But do some fun things for yourself, like gardening. And just try to figure out some social activities, whether they're virtual or they're things that you can do. Like on my street, people sit on their front porch and just talk to one another from, across the way, 20 feet away. But
right. These are great suggestions, Joelle. I think we should meet like this regularly during the crisis. And if you're game, what I'd like to do is record like we're recording now. We're going to disseminate our conversation on ways that we're coping. So what do you think?
I think
you want to meet with me every few days, and we'll just put it out there.
Have our own happy hour. And I would love to hear from people what they're doing, what suggestions they have, what have they done. I've seen some really fascinating things, like I saw this grandmother do a scavenger hunt with her grandson on FaceTime. So I did that with my grandson. It's like...
No, that's really wonderful. So, Joelle, I know our time is running out right now. Yeah. I'm going to invite my listeners to my YouTube channel, Ask Arna on YouTube, and I'm also on Instagram. And where can people find you, Joelle?
I'm on Facebook, and they can find me on YouTube also. But on Facebook, I'm Joelle Norwood. And I will put it in the recording information as well.
Wonderful. And I'm also on Facebook under Ask Arna. Joelle, I'm so happy you're well. I'm so happy to see you today. And let's meet in another few days and just keep this dialogue going, because I think we're going to really give important information, and we would like to hear from people, and then we can really answer them directly. So stay safe and have a good evening. Thank you.